Misogyny is a feeling of hating all women or the belief that women are inferior to men or less capable to a certain job or task. This social problem can take any form such as discrimination, any type of violence, and objectification of women. This problem alludes to the provocation of feminicide and sexual gratification. Misogyny attempts to the life of women, so it's very important to know its characteristics, causes, and consequences, because in this way the society can do something to stop this problem and help affect the women.
According to Noah Rubinstein, misogyny refers to the outright hatred of women, and typically is expressed as sexual discrimination or objectification of women or girls. There are certain behaviors in a person that can allude to a misogynist. Some characteristics are, according to Stephanie Tillman, their underlying feelings of superiority over women, disdain for the feminine mind, jealousy for women's success, or simply women, in general, are constant barriers to true intimacy and commitment.
Sometimes woman is educated different from men, or they cannot do many things alone. Women are cited as a domestic and disposable human that is one of the many excuses for men to attack them. There is a manipulation of the woman's body which sometimes translates into rape and then into murder.
Consequences and effects of misogyny. The first consequence is violence. Misogyny produces consequences such as sexual violence, sexual gratification, physical violence, and psychological violence. The second consequence is suicide. The violence against women produces a traumatic alteration in the process of judgment and decision making. So sometimes the women take the easy way out of their problems and commit suicide. And the last consequence is feminicide. It is considered the last act of violence against women. In the last 10 years, an average of more than 20,000 women were killed in Mexico. The majority of the victims were poor or working class girls and young girls. Based on Jill Bradford, this feminicide is any form of violence that culminates in murder or suicide of women, and it includes torture, cruelty, mutilation, and any type of violence such as sexual, psychological, and physical.
Currently, hatred and violence towards women has been increasing exponentially, achieving an excessive normalization of this behavior. However, this way of acting has not only been presented in a physical way, but also in social media, being the social network Twitter one of the main ones in which users share this behavior.
The violence against women affects the Mexican society. It does not matter the age or gender. However, there are groups of women that suffer violence with more frequency, such as women with disabilities, refugee or immigrant women, and Aboriginal women. The best way to end with this problem is to prevent it from happening. Prevention should start at an early age by educating and working with boys and girls, promoting gender equality and respectful relationships. Also, it can be avoided by respecting women's human rights and resources. The creation and enforcement of laws that protect women from discrimination and violence is another way of prevention. Study findings that communities present lower rates of violence against women when they have access to education, health, and health services and jobs. According to Caroline Sweetman, human rights perspectives on violence against women not only stress the need to change international and national legal system, but also the need for these to be held accountable for failures to enforce laws or set up to protect women. In addition, cultural change must take place. Misogyny is a problem that affects women in Mexico in which women suffer any type of violence. It is very important to prevent this problem because it has consequences such as murder, suicide, and violence. It exists several ways to prevent it, but the most relevant is the education of the community about gender equality and respectful relationships. On the other hand, victims of misogyny can go to the police or authorities to feel safe and report any type of violence. The government has to create new laws to the protection of women and enforce them.
According with Israel Davila, Mexico is an entity in which more women are murdered. There are very viable solutions to reduce the number of cases that arise to the year and thus in a future to be able to reach the extinction of this alarming social problem. Solutions such as giving recreational opportunities to affected women and to their families. Open groups where they can expose their problems to the society and women's voice heard in response to these problems, providing shelter and protection with campaigns against abuse and hatred towards the woman.
Social networks have demonstrated that are a place where feminists can share their ideas and defend themselves from the society's violence and reification. An example of that is the third trending topic, #VivasNosQueremos, which was a movement generated by women from almost all the states of Mexico in 2016. With this slogan, young women had demanded important actions to the Mexican government for their rights. Taking into account the study made by Emily Reynolds, we can infer that people reacting based to what are the trends in social networks. The regulation of violence against women and violence per se in social networks will help to have less attitudes of hate between people. These regulations just can be implemented if it does not affect the right to freedom of expression. The right to freedom of expression of people loses its essence when it does not respect the rights of others. Regulations can be starting from accounts that share disrespectful audiovisual content, then those accounts can be checked and regulated. From that point, the other users will have more care at the moment of share any kind of disrespectful content. The limitation of this study is that we focus on Mexico in a certain period of time. Also, it was based in other studies from other authors without experimentation. But there are some advantages, because the solutions can be applied worldwide in the present.